Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another product review. And in today's product review, we're going to be taking a look at another flashlight from one of my favorite flashlight companies, Thrunite. And the model that we will be unboxing and reviewing is the BSS V6. Now this box says it's a hiking or EDC flashlight, but the image on the side makes it look like it's a tactical flashlight. So I'm not really sure what to expect when we open up this box. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera, open this up, see what this light is all about, test it out here in the garage and outside. Then we'll come back inside, then I'll tell you how it works and give you my final thoughts. And so here's the box this Thrunite BSS V6 hiking flashlight comes in. I see they're still putting the label over the logo. I wish they would not do that. I have seen them put the logo over the side of the box that tells you what's inside of it. They really do need to put it on a part of the box where there's no writing. Let's go ahead and open this up, see what we get. There's the light. We'll set that aside for just one moment. See what else is in the box. Looks like we do get a user manual. Looks like we get some extra parts in a lanyard like normal. We do get a clip. We get a pouch, which is really nice. So that's obviously for carrying it if you're out hiking or using it for EDC. And of course we get a charging cable. And then let's take a look at this light. And that is actually not what I was expecting. This looks like a tactical flashlight. We have a light with a single button on the back. Normally that just activates it. We have a button on the side to go through the various settings, but take a look at that bezel. That is a very aggressive bezel, so you could use this as a melee weapon in a last line of defense scenario. Maybe bust some glass with that. I could see a defensive purpose for that. I think this is more of a tactical flashlight than what the box says as a hiking flashlight. Very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and tighten down the cap. Normally that's how you can get these to turn on. That one already seems to be tightened down. So let's go ahead and push the tail cap. And it starts off in firefly mode. And then we should be able to toggle through the various settings. And that is a very bright turbo mode. And that is even getting really hot on my hand. And normally, when it comes to these, if you hold down the button, it should go to a strobe mode. And it does. I really like the setup of these where you have the two buttons, which allows you to carry this in a way that if you're going to use it in a tactical situation and you have one hand on your gun and another hand on your light, you can have the setting preset, and then all you have to do is push the tail cap. So if I go through the settings, there it is, and then all I need to do is push the tail cap and the light will turn on. I really do like that. And it seems like all of the other Thrunites I have reviewed, they are finished really, really well. We have kind of a cool logo here. There's that bezel again. We have our charging port here on the side. And that's sticking up just a little bit. Hopefully that will go down into it. Yep, there it is. Okay, we just have this little flap here at the top so you can easily get it off. Normally those are going to be watertight. That one's not necessarily fitting into that all the way, but I guess it works just fine. And there we go, a nice close-up of it. So let me go ahead and adjust the lights here in the garage. We're going to test this flashlight out in all of the modes, see what the hotspot looks like, how much spill it has, and then we'll go outside and see how far the effective range of this light is. So let's try out this BSS V6 light here in the garage. I have my camera pointed towards that little alcove that you always see in all of my videos. Let's turn on the light, and we're going to start off with firefly mode, and that one is pretty darn dim. I personally never have a use for this firefly mode. I know some people say they find it handy in certain circumstances, but for me, it simply is just too dim. So now let's go ahead and toggle through some of these settings, and we'll move up a setting to what I'm assuming is low. The color of the beam is supposed to be cool white. It has kind of a yellowish hint to it, but the low setting is pretty good. Looks like we have a decent hot spot. There's another setting up. The light does seem to be pretty directional. Go up another setting, and now you can see it's lighting up the garage pretty good. But as compared to some of their other lights, it's a very directional beam. Some of that might have to do with that bezel, and I think I have one more setting, and that is the turbo mode. But the previous mode is already pretty darn bright. I don't see much of a difference. Now, as I'm handling it here, it's not getting too hot. I do have my hand towards the bezel. And sometimes in these turbo modes, they do get a little bit hot, a little bit quick, but I'm not sensing that. So it's a pretty directional light, has a good beam to it, a decent centered hotspot, not a lot of spill. So now let's go outside and see how far the beam is typically thrown and how useful it can be. So now we're outside and I have my camera pointed towards my backyard and my neighbors' homes. Let's go ahead and turn on this BSS V6. We'll start off in Firefly mode, and as you can see, it is completely useless out here. Now let's go to the low setting, and there it is. We have a good throw on that beam, but it's not very bright. A few other Thrunites I have reviewed were a little bit brighter on this low setting. Let's go up a setting to medium. There that is. Pretty directional. We don't have a lot of spill like I experienced in the garage. There's our next setting up, and now that's becoming a lot more useful, especially for outdoor use. And the next setting should be turbo mode, which once again, I don't really see much of a difference between the high and the turbo. So that's my backyard. Now let me put the beam up, and you can see that it is illuminating the trees down the way and my neighbors' houses. This is not the brightest Thrunite I have ever reviewed, but the beam is pretty powerful. It is directional, and it has a little bit of a hue to the tone of the light. It's not as white as other ones as well. It says this is supposed to be a cool white beam, but it has a little bit of yellow in it. But it is definitely a very practical light, and I think for hiking, EDC, or even as a tactical light, it would have some good uses. So that's how the light works outside in a practical setting. So now let's go back inside. I'll give you some more specs on this light, and I'll give you my final thoughts. And so as you can see, the BSS V2 flashlight is a pretty versatile flashlight. It definitely works, but I did want to read out of the user manual and see how bright the settings are supposed to be. According to them, Firefly mode is 0.5 lumens, low is 25 lumens, medium is 125 lumens, high is 606 lumens, and turbo is 2000 lumens. But I don't know if I believe this, because it doesn't seem like there's much of a difference between high and turbo. Now, other Thrunite flashlights that I have recently reviewed, like the TN12 V2, I really perceive a huge difference between each setting, and I really like the color of that beam. This one seems to have a little bit of a yellowish hue to it, and the differences between the settings do not appear to be as big. It definitely works. I don't think you'd have any problems with it, but I don't think this one is going to be my favorite light. I'm also not a big fan of this bezel, but I could see why some people would. They say it's a hiking flashlight, but I think it's more of a tactical flashlight. So on my star system, how would I rate the BSS V6 flashlight from Thrunite? Well, I'm only going to give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Does it work? Yes. Do I think they're being truthful when it comes to the lumens that this puts out? I don't think so. It's definitely bright, especially on the high setting, but when you go to turbo mode, I don't see much of a difference. But that might not matter to you, because those turbo modes typically get kind of hot. But if you're just using this for general purpose or EDC, I think it would be just fine. So tell me in the comments section below, does this flashlight interest you, or would you go in a different direction? Me personally, I love Thrunite, but this one might not be my favorite model, but it might be the perfect one for you. So once again, tell me in the comments section. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, thanks for watching. V6